Hi, welcome to the People's Manifesto. It's the first real day of the election. But before I get on to that, I just want to talk to you about a few things. I've decided to make an email address for this vlog, the peoplesmanifesto@googlemail.com. I hope I've got that right and managed to make the graphic work, or I look really stupid right now. And basically, what I want you to do is send to that email address anything you'd like me to talk about in this video. This could be general areas of policy. I've already been asked to make a video on constitutional reform, which I'll be getting to soon, or just some party policies you'd like me to discuss that you found, or policy ideas of your own for the People's Manifesto. Just send them to that email address and I'll hopefully manage to find space to put them all into a video. But as I said, first real day of the election, and nothing has really happened so far. Just the previous row about national insurance has been turned into an election issue. Basically, if re-elected, Labour want to raise national insurance contributions by about 1%. Now, this really isn't a lot, but the Conservatives and David Cameron are treating it like Gordon Brown has gone onto the television and publicly said that he sacrifices children to the demon god Moloch. And about 70 business leaders have joined in with David Cameron on this position. Now, I took the liberty of Googling a few of the names of these business leaders on the list, and I don't want to bore you with all of my findings, but one name which was particularly interesting is someone called Bob Wigley. Now, Bob Wigley used to be the chair of European operations for a bank called Merrill Lynch, which collapsed during the recession. Now, we have to ask ourselves, do we really trust business leaders and people who caused the recession on matters of economic competence? Just something for you to think about. Another thing I question is their motives. Traditionally, the rich don't like to pay taxes, as they can buy their way out of using the state services that the rest of us do. Now, personally, I think this is wrong. I mean, even if you think that people have the right to make that much money and have that much money, which I'm not personally sure, but each to their own, I still think they should contribute to the services that the rest of us need to, give a little bit back. But, as I said, traditionally, the rich don't like to do this. So, I question, maybe the business leaders who aren't exactly poor, their motives for supporting Cameron are more their desire to pay less tax than out of altruistic concern for the economic benefit of us all. Cameron's alternative idea to the national insurance rise to cut the deficit is to cut about £6 billion of apparent government waste. Now, the Taxpayers Alliance has been saying something similar for a while. For those of you who haven't heard of them, the Taxpayers Alliance is a small group of angry rich people who don't really like to pay tax and get much more media attention than their small size would normally merit. And they have sort of, in a YouTube video which you can look up, search Taxpayers Alliance, well, when you finish listening to me, and they've decided on a few jobs that they don't think that we as a country really need. But this has got me thinking, this £6 billion of government waste represents thousands of jobs, and each of these jobs is a person, possibly with a family to support on that job. The recovery is still young, and unemployment is increasing, and with the jobs market as scarce as it is, does the government really want to throw all those people out of work? I think what this really shows is that the Conservative Party is still in the thrall of big business, just like we criticise Labour for being with the trade unions. But really in the pockets of the unions, as the Conservatives would like to point out. Looking at the recent BA cabin crew strike, and I mean no disrespect to these people, don't get me wrong, but in terms of the overall economic health of this country, I don't think sandwiches on planes are that important, really. And yes, a few people weren't able to go on holiday in March. Who goes on holiday in March is another matter, but it's not really that important in the grander scheme of things. And yet all the media was going on about all this union bashing stuff, about how it's a return to the 1980s, when it really isn't. There's a difference between the winter of discontent and a few sandwiches not being served on planes. But the only person who was being more anti-union than Cameron was Gordon Brown, the leader of the so-called Labour Party. How much is the Labour Party really in league with the trade union movement if they're being that aggressive towards a small strike? I think what this really shows is that Labour, like the Conservatives, is now backing big business. That both the parties are trying as hard as they can to get business on their side and ignoring everybody else. Shouldn't Labour be in league with the trade unions? What's wrong with supporting the trade union movement? I'm going to ask you a question now. Who do you trust more? A party aligned with the rich and powerful, or a party aligned with the downtrodden who need help? The creator of fascism, Benito Mussolini, once said, "The first step to fascism is corporationism." Corporationism is a state where big business holds power, a lot of power, the most power. Look at our main political parties and ask if that doesn't sound familiar. Thank you.